Let's have fun.
I'm up for it.
Yeah.
At that age, you're a worship leader in a big church.
Yeah.
You know, everybody. There was a lot of pressure on me to settle.
Yeah.
You know, for a lady.
Even suggestions of who he should marry.
When you're in a big church, huh?
And that
Those
list
days.
didn't have
I don't know if it
Kasali.
happens now. Huh? She was never on that list. I remember one very respectable woman saying, Dakala Kosa. Yeah. Wow. All right. I'm Floyd Kaingu. I'm a husband.
And I am Kasali Mwaba Kaingu, wife to one Floyd.
Yeah.
Mine or his? Okay, all right. Yeah, so I love color. And I'm the only girl in the house right now, so I make sure that I really pop like a flower. And I like comfortable wear, so yeah, so this is me.
Well, we met a long time ago, huh? So I think the year was late 1994.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
30 years ago.
yeah, that's 30 years ago, huh? 1994. My recollection of the first time I saw her was at a wedding in church. She was one of those, what do you call them?
On the lineup.
The flower girls, huh? That's the first time, she caught my attention. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was equally young, but then, that's the first recollection I have of seeing her. And thereafter, we were in the same church and we etched this relationship, albeit from afar. I was a friend of her family. She's got two brothers, three, but two that were close to me. And those were my good friends.
Yeah. So my first impression of Floyd was a very intelligent young man. So he remembers me at that wedding at church. I remember my mom was the matron and I think I was the knife girl. But I didn't notice him then. For me, my first impression was at a youth meeting because like he said, we were at the same church. So he was one of the leaders. He would lead in praise and worship at the youth fellowship. And then in the interactions, I could, pick out the intelligence. And for me, that was the first impression. This intelligent young man at church. And I was really, really attracted to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the first time that I pitched my pitch, it must have been the year 2000.
No.
Huh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
2000,
yeah. This time the
6
husband is
years
right.
later.
Yeah, year 2000. In that year, she was graduating from secondary school and leaving for university outside the country.
Yeah.
And at that time I was in my prime, as a young man, was ready for marriage. I was a worship leader for quite a long time, and so you can imagine in those days a lot of sisters were around.
He was the popular guy
yeah,
at church.
Yeah. But I was quite very disciplined guy, and one of the things that I remember experiencing from the aunties and some of the uncles was, hey, when are you marrying? Hey, your friend is married. And, I would always tell them, no, I'm still marrying a good career. I want to marry a good house and a good car. That's when I'll marry the girl, So at this point in my life, I think I knew I had done enough of the marrying of the other things, and I'd had that liking for her from way back. Her beauty, her demeanor, her integrity as a young girl. She was young but very, very, respectable. And I used to say to myself, maybe, but I didn't quite really know. So when it became clear that she's leaving the country for university, you're talking of at least 4 years, somebody's out. I think I panicked a little. Because I knew out of the country, that's it, distance and all.
Yeah.
So I took advantage of her birthday.
Yeah.
Interestingly, her birthday and my birthday are in the same month.
5 days
5 days apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's on the 20th of September, I'm on the 15th. So what I did was I sent her, I actually traveled to a place. I went to her home with, what's that nice biscuit? Is it It's Some More? It's Some More biscuit and a little card.
It was Romani creams.
Romani creams, yes, Romani creams.
His favorite.
Yeah, I went to my favorite biscuit there. And I gave her the present, and now this is a touch of Floyd that I added to it. So when I wished a happy birthday in the card, I put the initials PMM.
Yeah.
And I didn't explain that because I wanted to start the discussion there. Yeah. So what PMM means is please misunderstand me.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember those days when you tell somebody I love you
Don't
as a believer, you tell
misunderstand me.
don't misunderstand me, So I said, please misunderstand me because I want you to know that I mean it.
Yeah.
So that's how I did it.
Yeah.
And her response.
Yeah, so this one was quite interesting because Floyd and my two brothers were very, very close. So I have three brothers. So the oldest and the youngest of my brothers, the ones that I come after, they were very, very good friends at church. And my family was so fond of Floyd. From the time we met 1994 and now in 2000 when he's now making the proposal before I leave the country for university. And I knew my family would be comfortable with him. I had also become very fond of him and I had gotten to know him a little bit better because he would come over at home so often because, like I said, my brothers and him were like buddies. My parents knew him, so we would interact. We knew where he lived. We knew his family. And so I got to that place where I was comfortable and I was also attracted to him, I think, for 2 years leading up to the time that he proposed to me. But for me, I was just thinking, okay, maybe he's fond of me because no friends. I mean, I'm the young sister to his friends. So he's just being nice. I didn't really read into it. And that's why I think for me and him, that PMM was very important because we needed to just, okay, forget
this is it.
This family thing. Forget this, I'm friends with you. I'm not your other big brother. Please misunderstand me.
Yeah.
So I was really, really elated. I was pleasantly surprised that he was actually even attracted to me the way I was. But for me, I kept it to myself because this is my big brother's friend. Yeah, so it was really, really an exciting period for me. And just realizing that he actually saw me, he noticed me, where I was feeling like I'm the little sister. And then we could actually take this to where I was also seeing it to be. Yeah, so it was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so he comes home, it's my birthday, and the rest of the family they were not suspicious because he's a very generous person. When he does give. And even then he had just gotten his first job at ZRA.
No, I'd actually worked 5 years.
Oh, you had actually worked 5 years. Yeah, so he was 5 years into the job, and he had many responsibilities, family and stuff like that, but we knew him as a generous guy. So nothing suspicious. Floyd has come, it's Kasali's birthday, and he's brought her flowers, a card, and a gift. Yeah, so then I opened the card, and that's when I realized, oh my God, this guy is really, really feeling the way I feel.
He's on a mission.
Yeah, so I was really, really excited. And I think we spoke on the phone because we couldn't like, speak at home. We spoke on the phone and we talked about, you know, this prospects. Like, okay, this is how we feel. We are actually attracted to each other. And we want to take our relationship to this level that could potentially lead to marriage.
The other thing that she said that really struck me and got me excited is when she said, I've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
So 2 years
right
before
moment.
I started, you know, I had graduated, like, okay, this is not Big Brother's friend. This is not Big Brother.
He has an eye on me.
This is the guy I'm actually attracted to. This is the guy that I'm really falling in love with, you know. But does he see me? You know, is there a possibility? So I couldn't share it with my brothers. So I kept it. And that's why my response was, I was waiting for you. So it was really nice. So it was clear that I was leaving the country in a few months' time. I think between September and the time I left, just about
December.
4 months. I left in January. So at that point, I think I was, I would say I was a bit comfortable because of Floyd is somebody that we knew was a man of his word from his personality, character. So I was actually secure that he would remain faithful. But this was something that we were going in for the first time. We had never done long distance relationship, and for me, this was going to be like the first serious relationship I was getting into, where even my family knew. And at that point, obviously, I did have the fear of the unknown, I would say, but not so much insecurity, because I actually trusted that he would keep his word and remain faithful, that we work this out. I think my greatest concern was just the concern of the people around, because Floyd and I are 8 years apart. And at that point, I think I was, how old was I?
20.
That was 2000. So I was 17.
Yeah, 17. That's
crazy. I was 17. Huh? He was 25. You know, and everybody around me at that point, my family, a few aunties at church were really concerned. Like, are you sure she's sure? Are you sure you are sure? You know? So I think that was the biggest pressure. Between ourselves, very, very trusting, between ourselves, very, very assured, but it was the external pressure that made us feel like, wait a minute, is there something wrong? Could something possibly go wrong? Will this thing work out? And at that point, I think we just stepped into faith and we're like, you know what? If this is really love between us, it will last. And let's prove that long distance relationship can work and does work. Let's prove that we can remain faithful, we can remain pure for the next 4 years. Because I think the one discussion that we had when the PMM happened, please misunderstand me, happened, was, look, for me, and he was also very, very categorical also about the fact that I must finish my university before we even think about getting married. So I think psychologically we're ready for a 4 to 5 years long distance relationship. And for us, it was good because we needed to also learn each other as not friends, not, family friends, if you could call it that, but two people that are looking to become husband and wife. So we needed to redefine our relationship, and we thought the 4 to 5 years would be good for us. So I think I would say it was more of the external pressure, the external concerns, and genuine concerns, you know, that made us feel like, oh, okay, maybe we need to tread carefully, but between ourselves, very assured.
Yeah. For me, I think I grappled with two issues.
Yeah.
The same LDR, long distance relationship. I had worked 5 years. I was 25.
Yeah.
At that age, you're a worship leader in a big church.
Yeah.
You know, everybody. There was a lot of pressure on me to settle.
Yeah.
You know, for a lady.
Even suggestions of who he
Yes.
should marry.
When you're in a big church, huh?
And that
Those
list
days.
didn't have
I don't know if it
Kasali.
happens now. Huh? She was never on that list. I remember one very respectable woman saying, Takala Kosa, because she was 17. I was 25. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And then she was going to uni outside the country.
Yeah.
So the odds were like, she's gone. That's it. She's 17. She
Forget
hasn't seen life.
Prepare
and she's
yourself for a heartbreak.
Yeah, prepare yourself for a heartbreak. So there I was, but I believed so much.
Yeah.
I believed, and I think for me, the love overwhelmed all the other fears.
Yeah.
Yeah, overwhelmed all the other fears. I tell you, I don't know how many trips. I undertook so many trips to Namibia. That was in Namibia where she went.
Yeah.
I would drive alone
Yeah.
just to go see her almost every term. And so when one of the things that we encouraged each other on, particularly for her, was for her to be in a good church.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I felt if she's in a good church, then at least I've dealt with one part
We
of.
are safe.
I'm safe. The world can't touch her. But then I knew in church also you have, the
Yeah.
brethren and,
zealous
the
brothers.
international students and all. But there was this wonderful woman of God. She's going to be with the Lord now, Reverend Margaret Mwale. She was pastoring a church in
Zambian.
a Zambian, yes. She was pastoring a church in Namibia. So she got introduced to that lady. And that lady was so loving and generous that for many times she kept my friend in her home.
Yeah.
So, and those days, there weren't very many cell phones, huh?
Yeah.
So I would make sure,
Landline.
I would get to work very early. I can't put myself in trouble now because I retired from ZRA, but I would go to switchboard very early in the morning. And we had some nice people there that just fell in love with me and they understood my issue. So I would always call early in the morning by 7.
Yeah.
I would call the landline. And then the woman of God on the other end would always answer, hello, in a hoarse voice. Oh, is this Floyd? Hold on for Kasali.
Yeah.
And would talk for almost every day,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So that kept the, relationship going.
Yeah.
And also my frequent trips periodically, I think every term or
Every year.
at least maybe twice.
I would come often.
Yes.
And then he
And I would also travel. So that I also needed to go mark my territory in the other country. So I needed to be traveling.
Present.
It was crazy. I was
Yeah.
even called international lover at work.
Yeah. No, I think long distance relationship, I think we have proven that it works.
Yes.
So church really helped. And I think for Reverend Margaret Mwale, she's gone to be with the Lord now.
Great woman.
She caught it. I think when I just went to Namibia in 2001, she understood these two are in love. We hadn't told so many people at that time, but she was one of the few that caught it, and she was very supportive. So we would have those phone calls almost every day, at least 3 times in a week, between Monday and Friday. The rest of the times, I think that time email was very prevalent.
Yeah,
so
the emails.
we used email. And then later on, I think in my 3rd year, I got a phone because cell phones. Yeah,
I got you a phone.
Yes, he got me a phone.
Ericsson, I remember.
The dude got me a phone, not
blue
Nokia 3310.
No, that came later. It was an Ericsson first.
Yeah, so he got me a phone and then would. So what helped us was, just being grounded in the faith, because the Word of God teaches you to be faithful. It's part of the fruit of the Spirit, and faithfulness was very critical. And while I was at UNAM, even guys, even Christians, brothers that knew that I was in a relationship with Floyd still made advances. So it doesn't mean that people will stay away. I never told you that.
Which guys? No, I knew.
No, you knew. Yeah, so they still made advances. But I think when you're focused and you have resolved and you commit to one person, it becomes easier. And when you tell a few other people, you are also held accountable. So, it was really a test of love and commitment. And are you really focused? Are you really devoted to this person? Yeah. Yeah, so I'll start for my family. So I'm the last born in a family of 6. So you can imagine how protected I am. and worse before I
The
got
odds
married.
that I had to deal with.
Yeah, so
Last born, 17 years old.
yeah, so I'm the last born, so I was protected by my 2 sisters, protected by my 3 brothers, protected by my parents. Let's not even go to cousins and whatnot. So the entire family, we used to go to Grace Ministries at the time. So my husband was not a stranger to them.
Yeah.
This was a young man they knew, a young man they loved, who was in the youth fellowship together with their children. This was somebody who used to lead praise and worship during the service. So they knew him, but still they struggled. They still struggled, and I'll be honest with you, they struggled. The time I was leaving for UNAM, one of my brothers knew, because he told one of he had to go and confess his sins to his
my
friend.
goodness.
But my parents had an idea, because they noticed that when Floyd is home, it's no longer the brothers, but he's spending more time with Kasali and stuff like that. So I know they knew, but we didn't have a discussion. I think we had a discussion when I came back in the first year during the holiday. But even then, leading up to 5 years later, 2005, when we got married, it was a process for them.
Yeah.
It was a process, because they said, okay, we know what we know about Floyd, but this is a different ball game. We need to see how he shows up here. Kasali is 8 years younger than him. She's in another country. Will he remain faithful? How's this thing gonna work out? So they were also like really just analyzing, watching, and it took time for them to just accept that this was real love. Probably 4 years into it, a year before we got married. Yeah.
For my family, I think it was an instant hit for them, because I think my family within Lusaka was small. It was majorly myself, my sister, and a few aunties. So and my brother, my brothers. So my older brother was out of town, but my younger brother, I was staying with him. So it was very easy. And again, we met in the church circles, so they knew her already. So the introduction was quite straightforward, really. Yeah. Yeah, so when she graduated, we knew already that we were going to get married immediately.
But the engagement happened in my 4th year.
Yeah, the engagement happened in the 4th year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my 4th year, we did the traditional part. And by that time, we had started talking with my parents. I think they started warming up, and they realized, okay, this is 3 years into this long distance relationship. And these guys have been consistent. So we did the traditional process, Tuvale.
Tuvale, yeah.
Yes. And then the engagement came later.
Yeah, it came later.
Yeah.
It came after the Tuvale. We couldn't do it before.
Yeah.
So after, so we did the Tuvale in our absence. Were you around?
I was.
You were? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I had to be.
You had to be, yeah. And then the engagement, a few months later.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few months later is when we had the engagement.
Yeah.
So, how did I do that? There's some catch to it, huh?
You actually asked me to go to a shop to do the site.
Oh, it was just as straightforward as that. Yeah. I did that
We
because
were not playing games. We needed to do things. I'm here for a month. What are we doing?
yeah, at that time I think Game was doing that thing, the measuring.
It was at Manda Hill.
Yeah, at Manda Hill. So she went and did the size thing, and then I got the ring.
Yeah.
For the worship leader, it couldn't be private. Yeah, so it was it wasn't a small occasion. I think we had some relatives, church people, and we had it at a beautiful lodge somewhere by the poolside. Yeah, so it was beautiful. It was a very formal engagement, really. Yeah, because it wasn't one of those surprise. We planned it.
Yeah.
We were going towards it. We even had our reverend then come in and do the ceremonize the whole thing. Yeah. the wedding.
Wow. So the wedding preparation, I think for me, I was really just blessed by love. There was so much love that was surrounding me. I had just graduated, so I had completed university the year before we got married. And I was still job hunting. I only found my first job 3 months into our marriage. Yeah, so I complete school 2004 November. Come back home, go back for the graduation in April 2005, and we're planning for a wedding in June 2005. I have no job, and he has a job. So part of the wedding build-up was funded by my parents. Obviously, the kitchen party. We also had a chilanga mulilo, but the wedding was Floyd.
That's
Yeah,
my business.
so I was just walking into this wedding and everything is paid for, and all I was doing was, I want this venue, I don't want this. But there was this beautiful Aunt Lombe from church who got interested, and she knew, okay, this young girl is straight from university, she doesn't have a salary to her name, and so she was generous enough to, I think she lent me her dress. Yeah, and then the other one we hired. So I had a big traditional wedding dress for the church we hired. Yeah. And then for the evening, nice fancy dress. That one I got from my sweet Aunt Lombe. Yeah. So it was a wedding filled with love. I just saw people's love and so much giving, and
we were amongst the few people that time. I think that's 2005, 2004. That's the time that this then exquisite what was it called? The venue?
Zaf.
No, not Zaf.
Well,
Office of a President. Remember?
OP.
Chamba Valley. Yes, so it was at its prime then. And the dates were, full. So we settled for a Friday wedding.
Yes.
Our wedding was on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
June,
24th June, a Friday evening wedding. And that was very odd in those days. It wasn't popular to have a wedding on a Friday. On Friday, yeah. But people came and we had fun. Now, the story is, usually the one who comes late for church is the bride. But for my wedding,
drama.
The opposite happened. Yeah. So I have this very loving father in the faith who told me, you know what? You are my son. I'm going to get you a suit and everything. And he did that. But as fate may have it, when he got it from outside the country. When he was coming, he forgot it. So you can imagine. And that was the week of the wedding. So he arrives on a Thursday. The suit is not in. The wedding is on Friday.
Yeah.
So they had to charter a plane that was going to the Copper Belt. And then a driver had to go all the way to go pick up the suit. So by Friday morning, I have my suit. So what happened? It delayed.
Yeah.
That same week, I think a good friend of mine who was also on the wedding lineup was going to, feature a match at the trade fair. And their company had bought them, very beautiful suits. So this day I passed by and this is a nice suit. Here's my build. That's the suit I wore.
Because
before he wore it for the trade fair.
The wedding suit was...
Because my wedding suit was still
being driven from the Copper Belt.
Friday morning, the girls in Tuareg is already en route to the venue, Yunza Chapel. I was in town looking for a shirt. So I arrived like maybe an hour later. That was a fun part because the guy was being waited for and not the other way.
Yeah. So that was kept away from me. So my matron, Mommy Joyce, was keeping that news away from, that reality away from me. So she cushioned me from the panic. And I only got to know when we got to church, because I was wondering when we were preparing to go to church why we were not leaving, because I was already dressed. And I could see they were just delaying and, buying time. And I didn't understand, why are we delaying, you know? So they knew that he will only arrive an hour later after the official time. So we only got there like 40 minutes later. So I only waited for about 20 minutes, really, but he was an hour late.
My goodness. Oh, as a young man, you always have visions of that day. And can I remember the song?
I don't remember it.
Yeah, I can't remember the song, but I do remember myself standing there and my bishop, you know, standing there, and the doors flung open and she was walking in with the father. Oh my goodness, that was something. The spectacle, she was dazzling. You know, it really, I mean, I've seen these things in movies, huh? Where you see somebody lose their breath, huh? It happened to me that day. It wasn't a movie, and I was like, this is really it. So it was amazing what happened that day. Yeah. Mm.
So much joy, hey? I wasn't nervous. I was filled with so much joy, so much gratitude. I had looked forward to this day for a long time. And for me, it was just the warmth of getting into marriage with somebody I had known for many years, somebody who had become a very, very good friend. And so for me, it was so much joy. I was smiling throughout, from the door all the way until Daddy handed me over to Floyd. Yeah, so not nervous, but really just basking in the beauty of the moment. Yeah.
How many years have we been married? That question usually is a trick question for the husband.
18 years, 9 months.
18 years, 9 months.
Yeah.
And we have 2 boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zion and Theo. Beautiful, beautiful guys.
Yeah.
Our firstborn is 15.
He's 16, Daddy.
He's 16.
Yeah.
Oh.
He turned 16 in Feb.
Yeah, he's 16, and the second one is 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think for me, I naturally delight in people succeeding. I have that inherent love and joy when I see someone succeed. And so even coming into marriage in relation to her, that always wells up in me. Yeah. She's a very, very intelligent woman, you know. And somebody told me a long time ago, if you want to see the beauty of a butterfly, let it loose, you know, let it go. That's the only way. Once it spreads its wings, once it flies, then you'll be able to enjoy the beauty of the array of colors that the butterfly will expose to you. And so for her, and what I know she carries, I have learned to just support. I think I hope I'm the greatest cheerleader for her.
You are.
You know, so that she makes it. I pray for her. I do remember when she was going for an interview that night, how we worked so hard. You know, we were doing this research, talking back. I would interview her, you know, because I was interested in her success. And so I am not in any way threatened by her success. I love her succeeding because I see the benefits it brings me. You know, she loves her job. She's good at it. And she's going places, and she's still going places. When you talk about how it relates to ministry. Now, what is interesting about my wife is the same attention, how she applies herself at her workplace, is how she applies herself even at church. Sometimes I even think she's more committed than me at church because she really, really pushes me positively. You know, she encourages me. She leads the way in so many ways. She makes me shine. So I'm very, very happy to have her as my partner in the marriage life and also in ministry.
Yeah. So I have gotten a lot of support from my husband. I think from the first job, like I had said earlier, 3 months into our marriage is when I got my first job, and I remember even preparing for that interview. They were looking for graduate trainees at Celtel then. My husband is the one who prepared me, drilled me, asked me all the possible questions and stuff like that. So from my very first job to this job that I have now, he's been very supportive, consistently supportive. And that has made it easy for me. In terms of supporting him in ministry, I think I owe it to the strong foundation that we've had, strong Christian biblical faith foundation that we've both had. We met at Grace Ministries. We were both very committed to the youth ministry. We sang in the same youth choir. We were in intercession together. So that strong foundation has made it easy and natural for me to support in ministry, because from a very young age, we were taught that you must not just be a bench warmer or a chair warmer at church. Find something that you can do. And for me, I've been very clear in terms of my commitment to God comes first, and everything else is secondary. So it's been very easy for me. I wouldn't say very easy, but it's come naturally.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously there are challenges even in ministry, but it comes naturally because that's how we were taught, that's how we were raised, and that's the foundation we have. It's all about ministry, serving God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Numerous times. The thing about my wife and I is we both allowed, in our space. Yeah, we have learned to verbalize. When I'm not happy, I won't sugarcoat it. I'll just say this wasn't nice, and the same with her. So whenever conflict comes, and one of the ethos we have is always to separate the problem or the conflict from ourselves. We usually say this, even when we do counseling for couples. We say, look, before the conflict was or came, the two of you were okay. So it's an introduction. It's something new that has come. So don't let that particular thing separate you. So what we do is we isolate whatever issue from ourselves. Yeah. So we put the conflict or the problem there and say, look, that thing is coming to separate us. How do we deal with it? Yeah.
And how we deal with conflict, I would like to state that I think there's, and I'll say this boldly, I don't think there's any couple that does not go through conflict. I know most couples like to, show only the nice side and show the rosy side. But what we've discovered in our 19 years is conflict will come. It may come in your first year of marriage, it may come in the 5th year, it can come in the 19th year, but conflict will come.
Yeah.
And in all manner of sizes. The smallest conflict about why did you leave your short by the passage, to the biggest things, in-laws, barrenness, finances, commitment, faithfulness, and stuff like that. So I think it's important for us to state that, yes, we are a couple that has gone through conflict, that does go through conflict. But like Floyd said, it's important for the two of you to come to that place where you talk it out. And there's already arsenal tools enough between the two of you to talk conflict through in a healthy manner. And what has helped us is that tool of saying, okay, let's identify the problem and isolate it.
Yes.
Then the two of us deal with that problem. Because the moment I start putting the problem on Floyd, or Floyd putting the problem on me, we will not resolve. So we need to talk it out and say, okay, what is the issue here? Is it finances? What is the issue here? Are we disagreeing on how to raise these teenage boys? Are we disagreeing on church? Are we disagreeing on how I treat my in-laws or how I treat my own family? Once we talk it through and we identify it, then we put it on the table and we say, okay, the two of us, how do we deal with this? And this concept has really helped us. And sometimes it will take even days for you to just agree this is the problem. No, the problem is this. No, it's actually this. But once you identify it, now take it away from whoever it's sticking on, both of you or one of you, and then put it there and deal with it, the two of you, solution together. And certain times we've had to go external and get help externally, because sometimes even when you identify, isolate and whatnot, you're still not resolving the conflict.
Yeah.
There is a lot of help. I think for us, what we've discovered is there is a lot of help, and there is no excuse to give up on each other.
That's right.
If you love each other, there is no conflict,
You'll
no
fight.
matter how big it is.
You fight whatever
That-
conflict
yeah.
for the one you love.
Yes.
Yeah, you scale whatever mountain.
My husband
you break whatever wall.
likes to say, muchupo kushipa. You know how people quickly say, marriage is not shipikisha. And I understand where
Yeah,
the
I
angle.
always say, ichupo techipikisha club, but
But kushipa.
kushipa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a club of endurance, but you
Yes.
need to learn to endure, to tolerate, you know, to
Exactly.
be patient with one another.
Yeah, and you will do that for the one you love. No matter how pained you are, no matter how hurt you are, if you love someone, you will endure, and you
That's
will,
what love is.
Yeah, you will
Love
seek the
endures, bears
solution.
all. Yeah. Two things. Okay, that's easy. Yeah, I think her love, her unconditional love that she has for me. I'm not a perfect person. I have many flaws, but I think she looks beyond those and just adds to me and completes me. I appreciate that about you. I appreciate you. We said two, because there's a lot. Anyway, let me pick one. For your dedication to your craft at work, you know, in ministry, towards our children. I love the way you love them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, two things I love about Floyd. I think the first one is he's very supportive. Floyd's love is expressed in support. Once I communicate to him that this is something that I would like to pursue, this is something that I want to do, he will give me his wisdom, but once we agree that yes, go for it, he will support and he won't give up in the middle. So he shows his support by, you know, speaking into me. For me, words of affirmation are a big thing. He will support and tell me, even when I'm at my lowest, when I feel so tired, so drained, he will speak life into me. And I really, really appreciate that consistency in support and those words of affirmation. The second thing that I appreciate about Floyd, though sometimes it's like, he is very candid. He doesn't sugarcoat. He will tell you as it is. When you've dropped the ball, he will tell you. Yeah, so that's one thing that has really shaped me, helped me in ministry and also at work, because he'll just tell me, no, you have messed up here. You need to improve here. You need to apply yourself more here. Not just in career-related stuff, but even things at home. He'll tell you if the meal is not nice. You know, so he's that real. And I think for me, that's really brought this authenticity to our relationship, and I appreciate him for that.
Yo. Wow. Wow. Let's do this. You can do it. Your words like you're able, you've got it. I think she's used this word several times. You're intelligent. She was attracted to my intelligence. So even when I feel like I'm nothing, I just say, hey, I'm intelligent. You know, I think those are some of the words. I love you. I support you. Like sometimes, such things. Those words.
My husband is very positive. So he will always remind me of who I am. He's very affirmative, and he speaks the truth about me. So he will tell me things like, I think we both like to use this. You can do this. And one phrase that he likes to use most of the time is, "You were made for this."
Yeah.
You were made for this, so you don't even have to look externally. It's within you. You were made for this, and you will go through this. You will win. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, so yes, marriages are falling apart, and a lot of young couples, even older couples, are really missing it. One of the tragic things is to see people that have been 10 plus years just give up on each other. We are passionate about marriage, and the Lord has, impressed upon us. We founded a marriage fellowship called Iron Sharpens Iron, and from that scripture itself is the belief that each person in the marriage union can improve the other. Like the Bible says, one man, improves the countenance of the other. And we base our philosophy of marriage, which we also, extend to others, from Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, I think, to 27. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. From that scripture, we see what God's intention was for marriage. And we always remind people, God said leave, God said cleave, God said become one flesh,
Yeah.
God says be naked and unashamed.
Yeah.
I think that's where we want to encourage people. God has placed in us all that we need to sustain marriages today. We just need to look on the inside, deliberately, purposefully, capture that, and once you do that, everything else is a goal.
Yeah. So what I would say about marriages falling apart every day, that's the reality that we are seeing. And even in the church, not just outside the church, but even within the church. I think what I would say to couples out there is give love a chance.
Yes.
I consistently say there is no conflict in marriage that should be a reason for you to separate. I don't mind. I don't care what it is. You can script it. You can say how grave it is. But the Bible says that love conquers all. Love conquers all. And we need to get to that place where we are actually proving that when your marriage is based on love, you will conquer all. And it actually builds you. When you go through a challenge as a couple and you're able to go through it, you become stronger and stronger, and your marriage will become lasting. But the moment you see a conflict and you want to give up on each other, it's like it's like you see trouble and you're just like, oh no, let's just stop this. But see trouble, get excited, and use it as an opportunity to actually become even stronger
and better.
closer.
Yeah. Tolerance, love, forgiveness.
I want to use different words, but I'm gravitating towards, I think, tolerance, I would say. Tolerance would be a big one for me. 15th September. I was about to say my own. 15th September.
20th September. Oh yeah, it's a big deal. It's interesting. September is full of birthdays, and for us, September is the month of cakes. There are a lot of people that are close to us that are born in September, and the two of us 5 days apart. So we are big on birthdays. We celebrate every birthday. Yeah.
Hey,
there you
at
go.
Home.
Yeah. Okay, let's adjust. Tummy tuck.
Yeah.
Everything else is. All right. My name is Floyd Kaingu.
My name is Kasali Kaingu.
And this is how we met.